Hello class, today we are reading in our social studies book, chapter 4, section 2. To find your social studies book, and I recommend having this up so that way you can review for your work for today, you will need to go into Google Classroom. You'll be in the classwork tab. If you look under that first heading, classroom resources, the first thing that you see there is titled Our Classroom. If you click on that, go ahead and click where it says Google Slides and you see a picture there. Looking at this picture, it kind of looks like a classroom. And you'll see that our social studies book is this middle book on our shelf. It's one of the biggest books there. If you click on that, it's going to lead you to a link, and just follow your link. So we are looking at chapter 4, Life in the Colonies. So I'll click on that. And then within chapter 4, if you could type up here in this black bar, the number 11, that will get you exactly to the page that we are working on today. All right, so we are going to be reading about climate today. I would like you to read along with me as we go through this. It's about 3 pages, and then we have some pictures and maps and things like that to look at. And we are still talking about the 13 colonies as we read through this, but the climate for those colonies was not all the same, even though they were kind of close together. Then along with climate, we are also going to be talking about their geography, so where they're located and the things that are around them. We'll also be talking about their resources, the things that they have that were already there naturally that are going to help them grow their colony. So let's go ahead and start here. So some questions to guide our inquiry include: how did the geographical, financial, and religious status of the colonists affect where and how they lived? What motivated each colony to form? And how did climate affect the development of 3 regions in the United States? So over in this paragraph, you recently learned about some of the main physical features of the colonies. Even though the 13 colonies are fairly close together and have many similarities, they have some very distinct physical differences. Throughout this section, fill in the graphic organizer in the widget to the left to help you keep track of these similarities and differences. Well, you can open that up if you'd like, and there's a graphic organizer there, but I'm not requiring it today, so if you want to do it just to keep track for yourself, you're welcome to do that. This first map is showing the different climate zones of the continental United States, and our 13 colonies are going to be along this edge over here. So you're noticing a few different colors. We've got green, and then the light blue, and then the darker blue, but we're not quite to the darker blue yet. So that green is saying that it's very humid, subtropical climate, so you're going to find it quite warm there. And then this lighter blue says it's humid continental, so it's warm in the summer, mostly, not necessarily all year round. So kind of similar to what we have here in Ashley. So climate, the 3 regions of the colonies, so north, middle, and south, all have very different climate zones. This is because they span many lines of latitude. As you learned in the first chapter, lines of latitude show how far north or south a location is from the equator. That location has a very serious impact on the climate of an area. For example, the northern colonies, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire, have very cold winters. That's kind of like us. While the southern colonies, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, have a much milder winter. The northern or New England colonies are known for their cold winters. They are often hit with severe blizzards, and the northernmost states, like Maine, so Maine's all the way up here at the top, like Maine, generally get around 100 inches of snow each year. New England is also known for having 4 distinct seasons. The spring, summer, and fall are fairly mild. However, there is a lot of precipitation throughout the year. So precipitation is like rain and snow, hail, all of those. The southern colonies have almost the opposite climate. They stay fairly warm all year, with temperatures often measuring around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Since they are farther south, these colonies don't have a very harsh winter. Though a mild winter may sound like fun, the summers there can be almost unbearable. In fact, several days in the summer, the temperatures are likely to be over 100 degrees and very humid. That sounds really hot. I know right here in Ashley, I get too hot if it's anywhere close to 90, so over 100 would seem pretty terrible. The middle colonies, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New York, and New Jersey, are generally known for their moderate climates. They tend to have mild summers and mild winters. This doesn't mean they didn't get some serious storms too, but all in all, they tend to have fairly constant temperatures, normally around 54 degrees. This area does not get around, it does. This area does get around 45 inches of precipitation annually. And so those middle colonies, let's see, we have Pennsylvania. If you look up here, there's New York. So it's kind of split. New Jersey's right in there with them. So something that you can do when you get a chance, if you go to weather.com, you can check and see what kind of weather is going on for each of those regions. And then while you're there, you can see if there's any extreme weather like blizzards or hurricanes or tornadoes that are heading for any of those. So weather.com is a kind of a cool site to check out when you get a chance. Geography. The colonies do have similarities when it comes to geography. For instance, all the regions have access to the Atlantic Ocean at some point. They also have several rivers that flow through them. Forests can also be found in every region. Finally, all the regions are affected, at least in part, by the Appalachian Mountains. Despite all of these similarities, each region has uniqueness when it comes to its geography. The southern colonies are marked by very hilly coastal plains. They also have several swampy zones that the other colonial regions do not have. The area is also filled with large, wide rivers. This region also has very good, fertile soil because of the tides that come in from the ocean. Those tides deposited soil that is perfect for farming. The New England colonies, however, are very mountainous. These mountains are covered with thick forest. Though there are several rivers in the area, the land is rocky and not very good for farming. The region originally had decent farmland, but the glaciers that once covered the area carried most of the good soil into the middle colonies. And the middle colonies were a nice blend of features from the northern and southern colonies. While there are some forests, the area is also well suited to farming. It is fairly flat and has very fertile soil. This area also has some river systems, like the Hudson River in New York and the Delaware River. Resources. Each region benefited greatly from the resources that could be found within them. For instance, one of the best resources in New England are the dense forests. Many trees were cut down for lumber. The forest also housed many animals that were hunted for their pelts and food. The oceans and river systems also offered access to fish and whales. The southern colonies also had access to lots of fish in the ocean and rivers. Several of the colonies made use of their pine forest and sold lumber. However, the most important resource to them was the fertile soil and warm climate. That combination allowed them to become a leader in farming. The middle colonies had all the benefits of the northern and southern colonies. They had forests to get lumber from and to hunt in. They had rivers and the ocean for fishing. The middle colonies had a wonderful farming system. However, they had some additional resources the other two regions didn't have. They were able to mine for coal and iron ore. Those two things were some of their most important resources. Well, after reading that, I think I would have wanted to live in the middle colonies. It sounds like they had the best of both worlds and then some extra too. Let's look at the chart here. So it says New England colonies, they had dried fish, whale oil, livestock, and wood products. So that's going to be these colonies up here at the top in that light green. The middle colonies had grain, iron, and wood products. So that's these ones right here in the darker green. And southern colonies had tobacco, rice, bread, flour, indigo, and grain. And you'll notice that those are all things that you would get from farming. And all of these ones in the kind of middle light green would be considered the southern colonies. Okay, that is the end of our section for today. And you'll just need to finish the worksheet that goes with this. So on the worksheet, I'd like you to tell me 2 things that you learned from this section today. You can do that using a voice comment, or you can do that using a text box on the worksheet. When you're finished with that, you can go ahead and turn it in. Thank you.